get started. I've got to chat with everybody now, but my name is Brendan, just in case you forget. And today I want to talk about a CMS of all things.
Yes.
Woo! And yeah, I can totally understand that you might not be really excited about that, but we have to use them for clients now and then, and there's of course WordPress out there. You might have had to painfully go through Drupal or Joomla, and they all suck, and not just because they're a little annoying to develop with, but even once you get them to your client, your job's still not over. You still gotta train your clients how to use them, which is the most annoying part about it all, because that's why you gave them the CMS in the first place, so they would leave you alone.
Well, yeah, it's just in my way. It's for them.
You just don't have the right way to build it.
So I met somebody who'd worked with Concrete5 for a long time. They introduced me to it, and I really liked what I saw. And so you can get it just the same way as you get everything else. There's a way to install Composer. There's a zip file you can get it with, but today we have the zip file, and we're just going to head and go and open that.
Oh wait, you're gonna build something?
Yes,
Wow.
I'm going to build it.
Brave man.
Like, that page was one of the few things that was actually online about this whole thing, so I hopefully have learned my lesson about it. Hi.
Hi.
I'm
Sorry,
Brendan. You're fine. Don't worry
I'm
about
Carla.
it. Carla, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Carla, we're just getting started, so you're not missing anything.
Great, thank
So,
you.
in the description, I mentioned something about clients and their cat blogs, so we're going to go straight for it with cat blog. Go ahead and boot this up locally. Cat blog. And it's got a similar utility to other CMS that you might have used. You simply walk through all the checks and make sure that you have all your configuration done correctly, and we'll go ahead.
This is what things look like now? Oh, we got a job.
Would it help if we turned the track lights off?
Is this a page that's running locally now? Or
Yes, this is running locally.
is this in a browser, or this is like an install script?
Yeah, so
Oh,
this is
oh, I
this is
see.
It's
just
a
all
browser-based
screen.
install script. It's
The full
just like the
screen
first
threw me
time
off.
you run WordPress,
Mm.
gets your database information and connection information. This is doing basically the same thing. It's very common in the CMS world to do that. To kind of have a hand-holding wizard to help people set things up.
Oh,
You already have a SQL database running?
Yeah.
I do, but now that you mention that, I should probably
Double check
create
this.
the table. Yes. One thing I would mention about this is go down to the advanced options and set your time to save you a lot of trouble later. And
Not really, not if it sets it in the PHP settings.
hold on a second. We'll do this again. Host. Yep, yeah, it's gonna tell me not to do that. And we need to add database, catalog. We have an empty database.
And it can handle creating the table?
Yes.
Giving it root.
As long as we tell it where to go, it will go ahead and install for us. We've got our little load bar up top. It's not terribly slow. It still takes a second, but I guess it could be longer.
Oh Lord.
Who's that? that on the background image?
Some sort of astronaut.
Where is the big cat?
I'll have to ask them about that.
Talking about cats, it's a big cat.
When can you detect that?
Well, I might change that for the next time that I can get you all to come to talk about CMS. But as I was telling
Gonna do
Ron,
another one?
next thing I do is probably going to be View. So, you all can tell me what I'm doing wrong in View is what it'll really turn out to be. Okay.
Another router, that's about it.
So, we are good to go. Concrete5 is installed. It tells you that you are admin, is that you're gonna log in as. Hey, how's it going? I'm Brendan. Ryan, we're just getting started, Ryan, so it's all good.
If you like Vue to help with this side project.
So, one of the first differences I see about Concrete5 versus other CMS like a WordPress traditional installation is immediately once you get up and running, it throws you into an area where you can just watch videos on how you're going to use it. So for the next hour, we're going to be watching videos on how to use Concrete5. And I'll see you all in a little bit. I'm going to go get a beer. But skipping that, we're just going to look at some general stuff so you can see what your client will see. And we booted up one of the install themes, and the thing about this is the main seller for me was they don't have to go back to a dashboard. Everything they're gonna do is right here. In fact, you'd probably be better off locking them out of everything beyond this, just to make your life simple, make sure they can't break anything.
Is this a WYSIWYG?
Yes, in a lot of ways it is. Concrete5 has WYSIWYGs all over the place, so I go here and yeah, you're WYSIWYGing it up right away. You can type whatever you want, world obviously, and it's got an asset area that you can insert either their assets, in this case we went cats. Clearly they don't know their audience, so we're going to upload a picture of cats because they don't have any. Meow. That's a good picture.
That is only one cat.
Yeah.
That is a picture of a cat and a bunny.
In dinner. It's a cat and dinner.
It's true. Bunnies are delicious, especially around Easter. For your children.
Cats eat rats.
Cats will eat just about anything.
Yes.
And they can
Especially the
set the
cute.
alignment and other specifications to it. Woo! And now that's in their library, they're good to go. We'll set it to go right. There's some basic things. Boom, they got that.
Little area there that you're editing, like a little aside,
Mm-hmm.
can you remove or if you remove that, how do you recreate that? Like, is this, how configurable
I
is this
am
sort of
glad
layout?
that you have asked that, because that is exactly what we're going to do. We're going to, everything in Concrete5, as far as they're concerned, is your client, that is going to be built on blocks. So in your theme, you'll have a little space for you to enter blocks of content into there. So we're going to delete a current block. We're going to add a new one. It ships with a bunch of different ones, like images, just your general WYSIWYG, which we were using earlier.
Are we inserting this block inside another block, like the outer green area that's highlighted there? Is that also a block?
So the outer green area is more of like a container for those blocks.
Yeah.
I'm gonna jump to the code in just a second and show you exactly what they're doing.
I guess Pets boxes.
So they ship with
Bootstrap 4.
Bootstrap 3, unfortunately.
Oh,
Yeah.
where's my Bootstrap 4?
Yeah, they ship with Bootstrap 3.
Well, Flexbox would have been adapted for that.
Okay, there we go. And they can put their video there. It'll show them that it's disabled. You have a nice little area. Added a video for them. And now they can watch their super cool video about cats. Yay! Okay, that's great. Oh, there will be more. So, now that we've seen that, we'll go ahead
Store that from the database.
and look at what's going on in the background. Oh, wait, there was one more thing that I should mention. You can add a layout here, and like this, you can add columns
Okay.
and kind of move those around
Oh.
so they can build out whatever theme they really want to, rather than you doing it and fighting back and forth on the phone about this detail and that. Just let them go and do it themselves.
And that's what that outer content area is as well, probably with the pixel perfect media rich. Those are all nested inside of a layout like this.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly right.
Okay.
So we're gonna go ahead and look at
As long as there's
what's
only
going
one
on
container for the whole
in
page.
the background. We're gonna use Atom because it's my talk and I can use whatever IDE I want to.
Well, if here you can.
So they're pretty simple on what's going on in the structure. We have updates, which is empty right now. Packages, that's your third-party kind of stuff. Application is where all your custom things that you all are going to build are going to go. And then Concrete is the core files that they ship with.
Where's the WYSIWYG? I wonder which one it is.
We're done with WYSIWYGs for right now.
But I need the bottom one. So, which one is this?
You know, that's a good point, and I will talk about that tomorrow morning. Charles works with me, and we are actually looking for WYSIWYG, and it does have an asset loader, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And how well does it play with Twig, though? That's the question, I suppose. Or Blade.
May not matter
Yeah.
if it's free.
So, we're looking at what builds out our layout there. This is all you're gonna do, all the code you're gonna have for a block right here. It's, you create a new area. That's your basic area for just that page on a theme, and you display it here.
And is this something that you would tend to want to edit if you were setting up a site with this? Like, would the client edit this? Would you edit this and hand it off to the client? Or is this something you don't touch?
I would think this is something that you would edit and hand off to the client. I try to leave anything that deals with code away from, I mean, you know, sure, let them go if they know how to do it, but otherwise I think they're going to break it. It's not complicated. I've built a custom theme in this, and it's just these lines. That's it. And we'll look at elements is what they call their more reusable thing. For a global one that spans across the site, like what you put in your footer, that's it. You see, you've got your traditional markup here, and this is the code that you're going to use for those blocks. That's what it lives in. You can move everything else into it. That's all you're doing.
Oh my god, it's moving PHP.
So we aren't going to build a custom theme because that will take a long time, and nobody wants to watch me look at CSS all day. So what we are going to do is we're gonna build a custom block because there's, you know, there's a decent amount of developers in the Concrete5 community, but there's not a whole lot. And a lot of it is something you're gonna have to pay for, or you're just not gonna be able to find it. It's just not as big as some of your larger CMSs. The WordPress owns a massive amount of it, and then there's a small percentage there left for Drupal and Joomla, and then all the other CMS out there that you've never heard of.
October.
What's it, Magneto is another popular one or whatever, but still, like, there's just not a lot of support, not a lot of developers out there building things, and chances are you're gonna run into something where you need to build something custom your client might have you make. So again, what you're gonna do is everything custom. You're going to jump in the applications area. You will find blocks, of course, it being empty right now, and we're gonna make a block called cat. I believe the conventions, the naming conventions they use is PSR4, so only underscores and lowercase in all this. And as far as what is supposed to be in a block, controller.php is required. There's going to be view.php and sorry.
So it's basically an MVC pattern.
Yeah.
For each little piece.
And there's a little bit of XML that you're going to use for your database, and that's what's required. There's more to it than that if you want to do heavier stuff, but today we're going to do a pretty simple one.
Whoa. There's XML involved?
Yeah, this is just going to be some instructions going to your database to store any associated data that's going to go into your block. And
Why can't
yeah.
I use JSON?
You're gonna have to chat with them about that, man. That's totally on them. So we're going to do
Does PHP have annotations yet?
3. I don't know about that.
Maybe. Well, I don't know what's in 7 too.
And we'll do table name, and the convention they use is you start with a BT, and then we'll go with cat, and type is going to be integer. I'm just going to open up a regular, pretty basic little table there.
What? So uppercase I.
Name, those rules, block ID, oops, it needs to be lowercase, type, oh, sorry, the table doesn't have type.
I don't know. It might. You know, maybe our Sam's kind of thing.
So there's going to be a component of this that gets stored in a database. Does that mean that you can build things that are somewhat dynamic with it?
Absolutely.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, so you can build things that are dynamic, and because there is not a whole lot of developers out there, that means that their market is pretty ripe to push blocks that you built out there to maybe get some monetary gain out of. If
But this,
you
So
should.
there's a market, a store.
The people who like Concrete5 really like Concrete5. So there may not be a whole lot
Well,
of
I
them out
guess
there,
what I
but
mean
this
is, do
they'll
you have
jump
to
into.
sell it on your site, or is there
There
a
is a
market
store.
through which you can? Okay.
Yes, that will hook directly. Well, they can view it from their site pretty easily, but it goes back to. They can view it from their dashboard, but it runs straight to the Concrete5 website. So that's where all their store is. And
makes a lot of
So it
money.
looks like your slash is
Yeah.
backwards there.
On
Z.
yeah,
Or is that intentional?
that is not intentional. That was a good save by you. So thank you very much. We will have less problems later because of that.
So the bootstrap professional themes are boat license allows you to resell? Oh,
It's
Space.
MIT.
Shoehorn that into this thing.
Again, the convention is a little bit different, so you're going to start with that
Makes up the bootstrap
uppercase rather, and rather than block, it is, or rather than blocks, it is block and blanket there, so I can find us. And we're going to reference the core to the Concrete5 core, so we can show that it is a block, because we don't want to write all that stuff on our own. You'll notice that this is, rather than core on here, that path is actually source is the file that it's referencing.
You gonna explicitly add this to autoload or just take care of it?
So all I'm going to do is add this, and it's going to take care of everything else for me. Extends block controller, and we'll do one thing. We'll tell it about our database table, and that was named BT Cat, I believe. Is that? Oops. And the other thing we'll do is we'll make a method here, and we're just gonna tell it about our block type name, and
Might get an error problem.
right here we're just gonna call it cat as well, so whenever we do install it, it'll know about it. And last thing, block type description, so people will know a little bit about it. And all it is a
Are you
cat block.
writing to an interface here? Like, are these?
The T. Is that what you're asking about? Like, what is the
Well,
return? The T.
get block type description sounds like it might be required by an interface block controller user.
So we're going to install it in that store area, so we're just telling that store that this is the information it needs to know about our block, as far as letting us know, the name and the type. That's all.
Where is T defined? Does that come from the concrete block controller up there or something?
Yeah. So honestly, I haven't dug that far.
Can
I
Adam
just kind
go
of meant
to
in
it?
terms of, like, basically it's Because you're doing that used concrete.
Yeah,
block,
it's coming from
pulling that
block
in.
controller. That's all. It's coming from block controller.
And that's internationalization, I assume?
Um,
Translation?
Now I don't know what you're talking about at this point.
The T helper,
Yeah, what is it?
return
Oh.
T cat,
Okay.
return T a cat block.
Yeah, I assume that's translate?
Yes. I don't.
What does T stand for? It's a very oddly.
Yeah. I don't really know. I think that's a pretty good guess. I can't say for sure. I haven't dug into
Or
it.
type. I thought maybe type or something.
That could be it too.
Can you,
Apparently not fans of self-documentation.
So this is block type. I know that much. BT. So yeah, sure.
Set to go to definition. Can we look at block controller?
Yeah, we can look at block controller for a second. So block
You can't go to it from your other file.
block controller extends abstract controller.
Ooh. Definitely not an interface though.
We got all kinds of stuff in here. This is
Wobbly.
a great big list of, so like block type interface with it. If you remember when I was on the page over here and I
With pictures on it.
opened up a block, I was gonna add something. So all those interface names, that's defining this modal here. Just different parameters in that. So there was one more thing that I forgot to add to that, and that is an icon for block. I like to think that I put it in pictures. That would be a good place to put it. Icon. Oh, there's a copy. Hey. It needs to be icon PNG and it needs to be square. And
So what, have you been using Photoshop or did Photoshop name it icon copy?
that's just Mac, man. Like I just duplicated it and that was
On the reversion.
whoops. Application.
I use GIMP, but I say I
Blocks.
photoshopped it.
They're using Inkscape.
Inkscape's not vectors.
I don't use Gimp.
What's that called?
What's
For
sorry,
vectors?
Oh, Inkscape.
Okay.
That's a vector, open source vector art program.
Nice.
And it's obnoxious to learn.
I don't know. I haven't done anything major with it, but
All we're going to do is make sure that we're on there and working. So when getting a new block that we're importing in, go to this one we have here, blocks, block types. It found our cat. We're gonna hope that I did everything right on the XML page. Block type installed successfully. Add block. It'll be down at the bottom. And all it's gonna do for us right now is say hello world. And that's all we need that to do for at this moment. I'm glad that it works.
and that text to the person adding this here is now uneditable.
So no, it would not be editable
Yeah.
for them because that's just.
Yeah. But you can define areas that are editable, I assume, like we've seen some of these other blocks.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So that is one thing that we could do among, a block. You can turn it into whatever you really want be at this point. If maybe they've got a MailChimp or some other mailing API, which is a pretty common thing, right? That you could turn it into one of those. Just
Surely
whatever
somebody's
you
done
want.
that already.
I'm sorry.
Surely somebody's done that already.
I would think for MailChimp, but there's another mailer out there that's pretty popular, like number 2, but I can't remember its name. They might not have done that, but that's just an example. They could be whatever.
Yeah.
And another thing about the grid is that I'll just say that I'm not really gonna dig into is you can replace the grid that this lives on in the concrete system to be, it ships with Bootstrap 3, but you can make it Bootstrap 4 or Foundation or whatever thing out there you would rather be using. You can.
Why would you change the defaults?
When I did the last custom website that I did, I changed everything to Flexbox, like raw Flexbox,
Yeah,
because
I
I
mean, if you're gonna
prefer that.
rip the guts of the tool out, you use the wrong tools.
I mean, it's nice that it's customizable and
How long did it take?
not that long. I kind of for the main core part of it, it didn't take very long at all. There was things here and there that I changed as I went, and you know they don't update this enough, unfortunately.
That's what
to
I was
to
my
run
question
into.
is, what's the update path like, especially after something like that?
They don't work on it as much as as like more popular ones like WordPress or
And
whatever.
is this open source?
Yes.
Do you know what the license is?
I don't know. Guess we can.
Pretty sure it's MIT.
Yeah. We can. I'll put something in the notes after all this. We'll jump back into the code. We're gonna do a little bit more than hello world. Let's do div, and we'll give it an ID of strafe, because that's what I want to do. And
Whoa, we're in a library, son.
and we're going to do a view.css and view.js.
Whoa.
And it's gonna automatically include those in. I'm not gonna write anything else for it to talk to it. It's just going to do those. What I was gonna do was we'll do give strafe a with.
You're in the JavaScript file.
Am I in the JavaScript file?
Uh-huh.
What if I turn all that CSS into JavaScript? And
I mean, you could. How are you gonna feel about yourself at the end of the day?
we're going to be here a long time. I'm locking the doors, and you're going to watch me.
Wow, I learned that for himself, y'all.
Hello.
I'm closest to the door, I'm not Maggie.
And we're gonna bust that up a little bit more. And as I said, it ships with jQuery. Anybody seen that in a while?
Oh no!
Yes, that's what we're doing. Haven't seen this in a long time. So I'm gonna do it in
Oh, wow.
jQuery because I feel like it. And that's the hardest part is like I don't even remember how to do all that stuff, so I definitely gotta look at my notes here.
Well, I mean, their documentation isn't actually that bad.
It's not. No, it's just heavy.
So,
I mean, jQuery is just heavy. That's it did great for us for a
Don't
long
you
time.
actually need jQuery for Bootstrap though? Like,
Yes,
all
you
these
do.
languages
Still.
so So I was gonna say, everybody likes to pretend that they haven't seen jQuery in a while, but really, have you not seen jQuery in a while?
I don't use Bootstrap 4. I use raw Flexbox because I think that for it's primarily still doing block, and I don't want Flexbox to be a secondary function, honestly. And that's how I feel about it. You can have your own feelings about it, and that's okay. That's just how I feel about it.
I feel like the less CSS I have to write, the better.
I was gonna say, like, I feel like you're working too hard.
I was at a design heavy place there for a little bit, and they were about ridiculous, man. Like you would crap your pants if you had to work with them. It was bad.
So, like, they need it set off to the side, like slightly higher with the pathway through the bottom.
It was interesting situation.
It's good if that's what you're getting paid to do. Somebody's got to write the CSS.
I didn't really want to.
With someone who enjoyed it, good.
I wanted somebody else to do that, and we thought about that a lot, and that's why we don't work together anymore. Straight right. This should probably get background color, and I like blue. We'll see. Save this. We'll save that.
Oh, it's gonna be, like, really, really good right now. Yep.
Yep.
Ooh, it overflowed.
Nothing happened, so we did something wrong with our JavaScript. So
The linter's highlighting some kind of mistake there.
If you're trying to call strafe right,
You're missing
you need
a,
parentheses.
you see where
Yeah.
your curly braces?
Yeah.
So you have
there.
sorry.
At the very end of your
At
each
the
of
end.
your lines, strafe right, strafe left, those are function calls, right?
Yeah.
Does it have to actually invoke the function, or is it being passed
I'm
to
assuming
Oh.
that's the complete call,
That's,
right?
yeah,
The one
This
at the
is
end.
it.
that's the one
That's
missing.
where you need it,
Yeah.
yes.
This is it. Now, let's see. Got it.
Why did you put it on
Got it.
time?
Got it.
Demo.
It's go- What did
It's gone mad. Oh. Well, now I broke it.
It moved too fast.
Is the animation
Added
disabled in edit mode?
Block.
I don't know, why is it overflowing?
Because
you
I've
absolutely
made it
position
do that.
There we go.
Yeah.
I see it slowly crawling.
Is it crawling?
Yes, extremely slow.
Yes. Let's speed that up a little bit. That's painful.
Oh, that's what this is supposed to do.
Yeah.
That's not strafing.
That's Mosey.
There we
Okay.
go.
Yay!
It's
So
about
we
as
go
fast
left,
as Destiny 2.
and then right, and then left, and then right. But not as fast as I'm saying it. So that's super cool. But there's one last thing that I really want to do, and that is I want to add iframe to this.
Oh, yeah.
Iframe.
Because I want my cat to be in it.
Is the cat a distraction from some malicious code that's coming along with the cat?
YouTube.com
Evil.
/evil dot 558. I don't think the case matters here, but I'm gonna do it anyways. 1B L8. We're gonna put autoplay.
Oh no.
Yes.
Is there a way to autoplay with volume loud?
I
think
think
there
the
is,
only
yeah.
volume that we're gonna have
On
to
Windows anyway.
take care. Oh, it's going through projector. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So maybe I should
we'll
close
see
the door.
how loud the projector will let us do it. and loop. And
Monster.
I need. I think
Is
I
there
have
a way
to
to also tell it to play in the lowest resolution?
Monster.
Super
Back and
loud.
forth.
We'll just do this because I don't think it's necessary for me to do this, but I'm gonna do it anyways. Scene and should probably. What is it, 560? Just in case.
Oh, you gotta get over to it just in case, man. Then you'll never know which bit's wrong.
Oh crap.
Oh,
Not yet, not yet,
It's
not yet,
strafing.
not yet,
it's a strafing
Not
YouTube
yet.
video. I like it.
not yet. I gotta remove that stupid block.
Where's the bar? There's so many things wrong.
This might qualify as a Beatleless website.
He's a Sith master for you, Charles.
Oh, wait.
Wait for it. Force push. Yes. Okay, that's all we're gonna do for right now. So that's all I've really got for right now. As far as what I think about it, the documentation is god awful. A lot of what I did was I would look at the core or pull in other people's packages and just try to deconstruct what they did. I mean, there's a lot of lacking, very important parts to their documentation.
How old is the
That
project?
I've like gone on their forums and asked about it. It's been around for a long time. I don't know how long 5.7 is. That's what they're on right now. But I think 5.7's been out for 2 years.
Oh wow.
And it sounds like they're getting a little more growth lately. Like they seem to be picking up a little more speed. They've got a conference now, and they just added those videos. As far as who you're packaging it up and giving it to, I think it's great for them. You're gonna need a little work, but it's not really strict, which is good because there's not a lot of documentation to follow for it to be strict. So that's what I think about that end. As far as if it's better than WordPress or whatever, again, it's on the client. As far as what WordPress calls them, plugins, there's so many more out there as far as plugins and choices. You will have one choice. You'll have two choices. You'll have maybe somebody made it, or you're going to be making the block for Concrete5. That's just how it goes. I do see a space there if you want to, because the community's small, to support somebody who is already using the platform and likes it. Like you can find work doing that, building blocks, or even if you wanted to start doing tutorials or something, nobody's doing it, so somebody could be making money off of it. There's no competition.
What are the big pain points for end users once you deliver a WordPress site to them? Like what is it that's so confusing about it for them?
Just going to the dashboard and not being able to see what they're working on, and you would be so surprised how awful that is for a lot of people. Like it's like the amount of hand holding I've done for WordPress WordPress sites is terrible. It really is. I just want to build it and then just leave me alone. And I ran into a lot of trouble with that, building like toolkits in the dashboard saying this is what you need to do here, and tons of work in Photoshop of here's a giant red arrow highlighting this button for you and all that, and it was really painful for me as somebody who didn't really want to be working with CMS all that much anyways. So
what brought Concrete5 to your attention to try out?
So there was a time when I was, working and then freelancing, schooling, and there was a guy who worked with Fusion Core at one time. He was one of the partners. Ron knows him. His name's Tim Remember. He came to me, wondering if I could build out some blocks for him, and I was already too busy to give him a whole lot of attention, unfortunately. And but he did show it to me, and I dug around for a little bit, and I was like, well, I really like it. I think this will get people to leave me alone. So, so I started messing around with it. I built a couple websites, and I had somebody still tell me that it's just too much details, and somehow
This is not the
I
one.
was like, look, you just need a secretary. That's not my fault. You just don't have the patience for this. Like that, it's not you don't understand it. You just don't have the patience for it. You need a secretary. This isn't my job. So, well, if I wanted to get paid for that, I just don't. So, that's.
There's a dentist I want to introduce you to. Next time he calls, all
I'm
right.
sure there's a lot of clients that are like that.
So I'm curious, so I guess this is what, with Dynamic earlier, I think what I actually was curious about, because it has this database, you set up a database table backing that block. Does that mean that there's a persistence mechanism? Like, could I write a block that persists data into their database?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what the controller's for.
That's okay, that's pretty interesting.
You can also pull data from the database.
Yep. I mean, it's
And
do what you would with any other.
is there an
database.
easy path for that persistence? Like, does that XML kind of handle the persistence, or do you then write a lot of code in the controller to sort of connect back to the database? Like,
It's going to be a little bit more work in the controller. The XML is mostly like boilerplate.
Yeah.
Get the table and the columns made. And
Does it
that's all it's really doing.
expose an
There might be more.
interface for dealing with the database? Like, is there?
What's the connection built on?
Yeah.
PDO, MySQL.
That's PDO, I believe.
Thank
Okay.
goodness. That means transactions across. That technically with MySQL.
I think Eloquent is also underneath it as well. So if you're a fan of Laravel, you can use that.
Is that what they borrowed from Laravel? Okay.
But you can also fall back to the PDO control.
So everything in that controller that's going to execute, that's PHP code that's going to execute server side whenever
Yeah.
they
Mhm.
make
That's all
requests
server
there.
They reference that they're built on the same stuff that Laravel and Symfony, well, not more so Symfony, but I
Everything's
think
built on Symfony.
there's really not much of Laravel in Concrete5, right?
They use a bunch of Illuminate things.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
How many times have you tried to build your own CMS?
Everybody does it first.
Yeah.
Everyone suffers that sin at first.
Yeah,
I never felt like it's.
I made pieces. I haven't been able to convince myself to go like all the way through it because it's painful.
Smart.
Like
Well,
I mean, I could also spend the day bashing my head against the wall, but
It's really not
I-
worth it. You're writing something that gets between the designer
It's only worth it as an exercise to
Yeah.
teach yourself a lot of concepts because there's so many standard pieces of a web application that are in a CMS.
Anybody else
once
got
you
any,
built it,
any
you can
questions?
play outside the box.
I don't really know a whole lot, so.
Well, when I first came here, I didn't know a whole lot, and I sat around, and if I didn't know something and I was too afraid to ask, I would write it down and then go home and look at it.
Yeah.
So that's it. I came here in 2015,
Yeah.
like the summer or so,
I think
and
we both arrived at the same meeting for the first time.
yeah,
Which
and
would have been
then our
May or June.
love life started from there. We've been engaged now for
Oh,
2.5 years.
congratulations.
Yeah.
Very happy for you.
But we work together.
Well, I mean, marriage is our work, so. It's good.
So, anyway, I think if you have questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Or try to, the PHP group always tries to keep things open, you know, and there's always something that you haven't learned yet.
Mm-hmm.
If you're choosing technology as your career path, that's going to be part of it. And there's always new things to learn, or new approaches to old techniques, or, you know, we keep trying to make things easier and easier and easier. So finding the toolkits that work for you, and there's always going to be something. But there are also themes that go across from, you know, whatever platform you might be on, whatever framework you might be using. Objects are objects. Whether and the way you think about things like methods within an object, it's the same sort of thing. And there's a certain level of consistency that goes with that, except for like really weird outliers, which are fun to play with, but don't always, you know. I mean, there are some ones that make it really easy to ship code, but there are other ones that you just suffer through because you've got paid to suffer through. A lot of it is also just what are we. A lot of these tools are things that we build on top of what came before. So, you know, along comes JavaScript on the server side, and they're like, oh, we need packages too. Like, and really
So
that
true,
was right at the same time that packages became an important thing in the PHP community. So, for PHP use Composer, for node packages, they used something called NPM. And then now there's a new version that's on top of that one called Yarn, because NPM had some problems, and so, you know, so you're always discovering new tools that you can use to accomplish whatever workflow you need to accomplish.
One thing I'd add to that is, since there's always new tools, it's never really a bad time to start, because there's always something new, and like you might be able to teach something to Ron as experienced as he is, because he just hasn't learned this latest and greatest tool, which is a really, really cool thing to me, and frustrating sometimes.
Yeah, that's true. Those can be good points to jump in on, right, with the new, whatever the new hotness is, because you can bet that there's a whole lot of people that don't know anything about it, so.
You want that to be your second tool set you like
Well.
to use, right? Because there's not a lot of support for the new hotness, ever.
Until it makes it big.
Yeah.
But then it's not the new hotness. You gotta move on to the next one.
It's a way to
If you
make
wanna be
yourself an
bleeding
expert
edge,
more
you know, if
quickly,
you
though,
actually
right?
want to
Because
JavaScript community, right?
It's a lower
They
bar.
need them
Lower bar to being an
so
expert.
every 6 months.
We
Anybody
get-
remember Gulp?
I think I've seen. Have I seen you before, Neil?
I've been on the meetup thing for a long time, but I don't think I've met you.
Okay. Well, we do go and grab beers after this.
Don't drink them.
We're water. We're water. Sometimes I'm just water. Tonight I'm drinking. Charles is just water. But we do usually go to the green room.
Yeah, right over across the street on Main Street.
It's just on the
Not
opposite
just water.
corner over here in the library.
Bags of mostly water.
They got some phosphorus too.
Okay, your time. Great talk, man. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
You should lead with cats with lifesavers.
It's probably not a terrible idea. Man, I took